This is Right on the Money with Tom Mosley, founder of Mosley Wealth Management.
Our mission at Mosley Wealth Management is to help people make sure they never run out of income the rest of their life and they pay as little as they're legally required to pay in taxes.
Since 1995, Tom Mosley and his team have been creating comprehensive, custom financial plans to help you preserve what you've earned and pursue what you've envisioned.
In retirement, a lot of people have built a great lump sum. We call that your lumber yard. But you need a blueprint to put that lumber yard into a plan that you can build a retirement house to live in.
What's on your mind this week, Southern California? The stock market, taxes, inflation, income, Social Security, how to ease into the life of your dreams? Let's discover conservative financial strategies starting right now. This is your Right on the Money Radio Hour with Tom Mosley.
And a very happy weekend to you. You are listening to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. He is the founder and president of Mosley Wealth Management based right here in Southern California, and I'm your host, Kristen Oakley. Each week, we are committed to providing you with retirement planning solutions. Today, we are going to tackle what we know is one of the number one questions that most folks have, which is, how do I know if I have enough to retire? So stick with us. It's going to be a great show. Tom, my friend, great to be with you as always. How are you?
I am doing well. Very excited about this show. This is going to be a good one.
Well, good. Well, before we dive in, I have to bring up something.
Uh-oh.
So I was on Facebook not that long ago. I don't get on there a whole lot. And I see this thing pop up and it has your picture. It looks like a poster for Taylor Swift's Eras tour, and it says Tom Mosley, the IRA's tour, and I just busted up laughing. I mean, here you are standing there in a purple suit with the whole chiffon behind you as if you're opening the Eras tour. It looks literally like Taylor Swift's poster. You have to explain yourself.
Yeah, I guess for somebody who is totally, absolutely not a Swiftie, I looked pretty Swift in that.
You
I really
do.
did, you know? So that was put together by Robin Whitaker, who is one of our content people that helps us put together a lot of content for the show. And she is so creative. And she went to the tour. It's like a poster advertising, like you say, a tour, only this is the IRA's tour,
Right.
instead of Taylor's tour. So if she
Right.
can quit hers and end hers, I guess I can start mine. Okay.
Oh my gosh, it was the end of an era, but the start of an age, right?
That's right. You got it.
Well, I laughed so hard and great job, Robin. That was really fun to see. And it would catch a lot of attention and make people think twice about, okay, what do we need to know about our IRAs, right?
It makes me think twice about whether I want Robin on the staff putting me in the purple and the pink. You know what I'm saying? So.
The beauty of Photoshop. But no, it's awesome. So if y'all have a chance to see it, I encourage you to check it out. It's pretty good. Oh, all right. So this question of how do I know if I have enough to retire? I think so many folks, Tom, dream of retirement, but they're really just unsure if they're ready. And we know, you and I both know that's true no matter if someone has $100,000 to their name or $100 million to their name, right? This is the question. How do I know if I have enough? And research is backing this up. Now, here's what's interesting. For folks who are already retired, they tend to feel one way versus those who have not yet retired. So we have some research and stats to share with you all. In a recent Gallup poll, 77% of Americans who are already retired say they have enough money to live comfortably. This also mirrors another recent Employee Benefit Research Institute survey, where 68% of those who are already retired said that they feel confident they have enough money to continue to live comfortably in retirement. But in contrast, for those who have not yet retired, only 45% say that they will have enough to live comfortably in retirement. So let me just stop there, Tom, and I would love for you to dissect what we just talked about, because there's a lot of fear out there. I think especially fear of the unknown for folks who have not yet entered retirement. That's what the studies are showing.
You know, I know we're during the football playoffs in the fall of the year, and then, you know, when the first of the year starts, we're at a time during that period every year where, you know, the playoffs are there. You don't know if your team's going to play well. You don't know how they're going to do. but I know from coaching football. Now, this is the greatest analogy to this that I know because of my experience.
Mhm.
But I know sometimes before a game, I mean, you're looking at that other opponent and, you know, they're hostile, they're mobile, they're agile, and you feel very fragile, if you understand what I'm saying, because you feel like they're going to break you. You feel like they're just going to tear you apart. But
Mhm.
then you get into the game and hey, you get that sense in the first quarter, second quarter, hey, we can play with these guys. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of times people on the outside of retirement, that 45% who haven't yet retired and they only have 45% confidence that they're going to have enough money, I think they're looking at it like, man, you know, retirement, it's hostile, it's agile, it's mobile, it's going to beat me to death. And then you get into it and you realize, hey, I think we can play this game. I think we can play this retirement. And that's indicative of the Gallup poll and the employee benefit research comeback of 68 and 77% who are in it. You sort of think, you know, I think we can negotiate. But here's my
Mhm.
concern, Kristen.
Okay.
Even those who are in it, 23% in the Gallup poll, 32% in the employee benefit research, and 55% of those of you who've never retired, you still have those big fears about retirement.
Mhm.
And canceling out that fear, removing that fear, diminishing that fear. I've said many times on this show, our TV show, our YouTube channel, Mosley Wealth Management, all of those things. I've said many times that my why of doing this business is to remove is to hear that sigh. When somebody sits across a conference room table and we build a plan and they're facing retirement and they're ready to jump into it and they just go, and they let
Mhm.
out that breath and they know, hey, I got this. I
Mhm.
think we've got it. And another point here too is everybody knows you've got enough money for the first month.
Mhm.
Everybody knows you've got enough money for the first year, maybe even, hey, we're confident for 5 years, but how long am I going to live? How long am I gonna be on this earth? And so it's like that's the issue.
Yes.
If I and then what that does, it puts a cramp in your style, Kristen, for doing things in your 60s right after you retire. I don't know if we
Right.
can take that trip to Italy, because if we do that when we're 65, we may not have enough money to eat when we're 85.
Mhm.
And that's the difference in having an investment company work with you. Some of the big companies call themselves investment companies. An investment company that works with you versus a planner, versus a
Yes.
retirement planner that you've got a plan that you know you're going to have income for life. And number two, you're going to pay as little as you're legally required to pay in taxes. Those are our big fortes at Mosley Wealth Management. And we do investments and we make
Yes.
good money for people. Don't get me wrong. But our major forward for people is giving them that sigh where they can relax and know they're going to have enough money.
Mhm. Well, and it's interesting because as you were talking, Tom, it made me think about too how so much of our industry is only focused on the investment management piece. And I've heard stories, and I'm sure you have as well, when folks have come in to meet with you, where a lot of times folks have already been working with another advisor during those accumulation years. But when they start asking some more of these questions of how do I know if I'm going to have enough, a lot of times the response is, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. And yet, all these concerns about inflation, we're living longer than we ever have before. What happens if the stock market takes a sudden downturn? All of this compounds the problem. Folks don't want to just be told, oh, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You have enough. They want to be shown in writing in a plan. Yes, you have enough. Here's where your income's going to come from. Here's how the plan is going to move forward. And you can spend this money now and still be confident you're not going to run out later in life.
No, absolutely. I mean, let me give you a side like illustration that happened to me just recently. As we get close to the end of 2024, as we were getting close to the end of that year, I kept asking my CPA, have I paid enough tax? Have I paid in enough tax? Have I paid in? And he kept saying the exact same words you just said. You're going to be fine. You're going to be
Mm.
fine. You're going to be fine. And about December 15th of 2024, he calls me up and he says, hey, Tom, we got a problem.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh.
So yeah, and he says, you're gonna owe XYZ. And I was like, oh wow, I can handle that. I don't know if Susan can, that's my wife.
Mm,
So
mhm.
it's like those shocks in life. And I'm still working. I mean,
Right.
if I have to pay a huge tax bill, I'm still working. I can still go make money. I can still turn, in people into clients and really help people, and then I make money off of that, so I can pay for those taxes. But if you're 85 years old and finally your investment guy says you're going to be fine, you're going to be fine, and now at 82 he says or she says, "Hey, we got some problems here," then you've really
Mhm.
got problems because the job market for 80-year-olds is not that strong.
Right.
And so that's why this idea, and they come across it in another way too. And they come across and they say, have you hit your mark? Like $1
Mm.
million is a mark. And then they've changed
Mhm.
it to $1.8 million is a mark. And there is no magic number because, and some of the things we're going to talk about in the subject, how do I know if I have enough money to retire, in this show today, you're going to find out that your mark is different than anybody else's mark.
Yep.
You can't put the mark on a billboard. That billboard's got to be your billboard, and your mark is different than your brother's mark, than Bubba the plumber's mark. Your mark is different than anyone else's because you spend money differently. A mortgage carried into retirement is humongous, and your mark's going to be entirely different than somebody who's got their mortgage paid for. So all of those factors need to come into play. That's why when you respond to this radio show, you call in, you meet with one of our 8 all-star advisors, one of our 5 offices spread all over Southern California. We will sit down with you and we will build what we call a retirement blueprint. We take it from a blank piece of paper and we look at your situation, all the things we're going to look at today about knowing if you're going to have enough to retire. That's what we do when we build a retirement blueprint. We offer one to you. We call it complimentary. I like to break that word down into free because it
Mhm.
doesn't cost you anything, and you can answer the questions we're going to raise in the last 3 segments of this show today.
Well, and again, this is why it's so important to have a plan so that you can be confident. We want you to be one of the people that says, yes, I have enough money to live comfortably in retirement, and I know that I do. So if you would like the confidence that comes with having a written plan, if you would like to have a plan built for you from the ground up, starting with a blank sheet of paper based on your situation, we invite you to reach out, connect with this radio show so that you can come in and meet with one of the all-star advisors from Mosley Wealth Management and receive your very own free retirement blueprint. But you've got to pick up the phone and call, so you can reach out by calling 888-930-5609 or visit us online at mosleywealthmanagement.com. That's MOSLEY wealthmanagement.com.
Which will you spend more money on in retirement, food or healthcare? Do you take your investments out of the stock market now that you're retired? How do you know if you've saved enough to stay retired? Will your Social Security check be reduced in the future? How do you produce income from your nest egg to fight costs like taxes and inflation? At Mosley Wealth Management, Tom Mosley and the team take the guessing out of retirement planning by devising a written plan that accounts for all of your concerns. The bigger question, are you going to be okay in retirement? Find out the answers to your retirement questions by calling Tom Mosley of Mosley Wealth Management, 888-930-5609. Income, investments, Social Security, Medicare, longevity, health care. We cover these solutions and all of those other questions on your mind to answer, are you going to be okay in retirement? Call Tom Mosley and Mosley Wealth Management for your own complimentary retirement review, 888-930-5609.
Welcome back, Southern California. You're listening to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and today Tom and I are tackling the question that we know is on so many folks' minds, especially for those of you who have not yet retired. But we also know it's a question that a lot of people who are already retired ask themselves, which is, how do I know that I have enough money to retire or to stay retired and really to be able to enjoy the retirement of my dreams? That's what we want for all of you. And so we're addressing this important question today. You know, you mentioned, Tom, that there has been in the past a real strong emphasis on there being a number, almost as if there's some sort of magic number. And we've seen different companies over the years create advertising campaigns where it would say, what's your number? And you have folks walking around with this bubble over their head. And it used to be, okay, if I have $1 million, I'm going to be okay for retirement. But to your point, then it got changed to $1.8 million, right?
Right.
But the whole point is that it's not about a magic number. It's not about your lump sum. We say that a lot on this show.
Right. And I don't want to make everybody out there feel uncomfortable when we start getting into these things, but let me sort of show you something. Just 10 years ago, and the market, the Dow Jones, for instance, was around 16 to 19,000 points. And or if you want to equate that to dollars and to the size of the companies, yeah, fine. Now it's even though we've had some ups and downs and some rough areas in the last month or two, and but it's still over 40,000 points. That means it's double. So if you're impressed with your 401k, well, fantastic. But so is everybody else. I read a report recently that the number of millionaires in America has more than doubled in the past 12 years. So that was, Are You a Millionaire? And there used to be a show on. It was all black and white. Some of you're going to date yourself by remembering this, but it was The Millionaire. And then there was a show about 20 years ago, and it's still on, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and those kind of things. And The Millionaire, it's the $1 million has always been a mark. But that $1 million, if you really look at the value of everything else with inflation, with things going up, I mean, things have gone up in the past 4 years, 25%. So you've got to have a lot more money, and your mark has got to continue and grow. And then when it comes to seniors, a lot of the things that we're going to talk about that you spend as a senior, as a retiree, those things have a higher inflation rate than a normal inflation rate. So that's where you really get into trouble by shooting at a mark. Am I keeping up with it? Do I have enough? That is the big question that's out there.
Yes. And it's all relative based on how much you're spending and the kind of lifestyle you want to lead in retirement, too. That's why no two blueprints that you build for folks are alike. Everyone's situation is different. So, what we want to go into now are 6 critical indicators that you can actually walk through with us during the show and help you assess how ready you might be and what actionable steps you might need to take now so that you can be more confident to answer that question of how do you know if you have enough to retire. So, you ready to dive into these, Tom?
I'm ready.
All right.
Ready.
You were born ready. All right.
You've already introduced number 1, and that is spending.
Yes.
Okay. How much are you spending? Now, you can call it spending. What are your spending needs? I call it budget, okay, because, and I know has a negative connotation, but you've got to know how much you're spending. And probably if you're married, one of you said to the other, well, I bet we don't spend as much money as they do. That may be somebody down the road. It may be somebody in your family. It may be somebody in your neighborhood, maybe somebody on your little league team or your high school baseball team where their parents are spending money hand over fist, so to speak. But you don't have to worry about them. All you've got to do, the very first thing you've got to do to find out if you've got enough money to retire is find out how much money you're spending each month. And a lot of people hasten to I've even had people raise their hand and say, why do I need to know how much I'm spending if I'm not in retirement yet? Very great question, because it is very similar. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. June the 8th will be my 30-year anniversary of doing this. And what you're spending before you retire is very close to what people spend in retirement. And so you've got to really hone in on it. And I don't want to just to say, get a budget. I want to go deeper. In our retirement masterclass, we teach classes. Go to our website and click on seminars, and you can see all of our classes like through the next month and a half or so. And we're spread all over Southern California. We teach a Social Security class because that's 41% of the average American's income in retirement. We teach a taxes class because that's the biggest thing that's going to rob you of your retirement dreams, okay? And we teach an overall encompassing retirement master class. Now, in that retirement master class, we delve into about maybe 5 or 6 pages worth of how to really develop a budget. And the first thing you do is you go through all the things that you're spending on a monthly basis. You can't just do that for 1 month. You've got to do it for more than 1 month, because some things you get billed on quarterly, some
Mm-hmm.
things you get billed on semi-annually, and you may pay your insurance on your house if you're not in some kind of way where they automatically take it out in your mortgage. You may pay your insurance on your house or your taxes on your house. You definitely are not going to pay every month. You may pay those only once a year. So you need to do a real analytical assessment of what you're spending. Now, I'll tell you what this is going to do. This is going to open your eyes. This is going to, you're going to, every person that does this, and we have every person does that, because let me tell you some of our inadequacies. Okay, you ready,
Okay.
Kristen?
I'm ready.
I can't tell you if you have enough to retire until I know how much you're spending,
Mm-hmm.
because I've got people that are clients of mine that need, are you listening to this? $734 a month. That is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what they need, and they're as happy as they can be. They've been with me for
Mm.
like 11 years, and I've got people who are in my client family, and they're spending, and they need $32,000 a month. So,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, that's a pretty big difference,
Right.
okay?
Yep.
Which end do you wanna be on, Kristen? Do you wanna be on the big end or down at, most people say, "Wow, I wish I had that." Well,
Right.
obviously, the people who need $32,000 a month, we have a whole view that's different for them than we do that couple that needs $734 a month, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to hone in on what are your expenses? What are your grocery expenses? Some people come in and they say, "Well, I've got the car expense, but when I retire, I won't have car expense." That is such a wrong assessment, unless you're
Mm-hmm.
planning on passing away within a couple of years, because you're going to continue to need cars, vehicles. I mean, 90-year-olds are driving.
Yeah.
I got behind one yesterday, and I guarantee you she had to be 90 years old, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
she may be 100 before she gets wherever she's going, but she's because she's going so slow. But people are still needing cars, and if you still have a mortgage, we talked about that already. We've alluded to that in the show. And what are your expenses now? And you say,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, but that's now." Well, once you have the known, then you can calculate the unknown. The
Yes.
unknown is what's going to change when I retire.
And
I
there's a
mean,
lot of potential changes for what your spending will look like as you retire. So yeah, talk about that.
well, you're probably, if you're normal, you're going to spend more for medical expenses. And
Mm-hmm.
you say, "Well, I thought Medicare took care of everything." Yeah, and the only people who ever took care of everything for you in your life were your mom and dad. Okay,
Mm.
and so you got to grow up and understand that Medicare doesn't cover everything. You've got copays, you've got deductibles. Even with the best of Medicare coverages, they don't cover a lot of other things we'll get into a little bit later when we talk about healthcare. But you're going to have more expenses. You're going to go to the doctor probably more. Your medical bills. I am taking more medication at 72 than I've ever taken in my life.
Mm.
Okay. I just didn't take medication. I mean, I used to like to go to the doctor and fill out those forms because it was, "What medications are you taking?" And I could put Zippo, none,
Right. Yeah.
none at all. But now I've got a list, and I have pull it out of my wallet because I don't remember it. And every single doctor wants you to fill that thing out every single time. And all of those things, from the known of what you're spending now to the unknown. And I really do want to back up on what we said. And what's your magic number? What's your target? I don't think it's $1 million or $1.8 million. I think your real magic number in beginning to build a retirement plan, I just want you to think with me, but your real magic number is, what are we spending each month?
Mm.
What is
Mhm.
going out each month? That's where it has to start, because until you know what you're spending each month, you cannot determine whether you have enough to retire. Now we have, and you can email us at info@mosleywealthmanagement.com, and we can send you a budget worksheet. And this is a one sheet, and it'll go line by line. How do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time, okay? So it goes through all of your housing expense and all of your daily expense and all of your food and household expense. It goes through all of those things so that you just jogs your memory so you don't forget any of those things. I'll be happy to have my people send you one of those budget worksheets, and you can work through and develop your own budget. It is the first step in knowing if you have enough money to retire. So if you want a budget worksheet, and I know if you're an engineer, you've got 9 pages taped together out of an Excel spreadsheet that tells you you're going to have enough money if you live to 2250, all right? And to the year 2250. But this is for real people, not engineers, okay? And so if you need that 1-page budget worksheet, then email us, we'll send it to you.
And again, to claim your complimentary budget worksheet from Tom and the team of Mosley Wealth Management, you can send an email to info@mosleywealthmanagement.com. That's info@mosleywealthmanagement.com. Or if you're going, you know what, I would really like help putting the whole enchilada together. You know that you need this complimentary retirement blueprint. We invite you to pick up the phone and call right now to schedule your time to come in. This is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how Tom and the team of Mosley Wealth Management can help and serve you. That number to call is 888-930-5609. We'll be back with more right after this.
Is having $1 million enough to retire? For years, many have considered this to be the goal amount to have for retirement savings, $1 million. But that's the $1 million question. Is that enough for today's modern retiree? Are you sure you've saved enough for a 25 or 30-year retirement? Are you concerned about covering large expenses, including taxes and long-term care? If so, you're not alone. But there is a solution. With a comprehensive financial plan, you can take control of your finances to help you achieve your long-term goals. At Mosley Wealth Management, let us help you work towards peace of mind by implementing a complete retirement strategy. Call Tom Mosley and the team of Mosley Wealth Management right away to receive your complimentary, comprehensive written financial plan. 888-930-5609. That's 888-930-5609.
Welcome back to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. He is the founder and president of Mosley Wealth Management, based right here in Southern California, and I'm your host, Kristen Oakley. Today, Tom and I are tackling the important question that we know a lot of you may be asking yourselves: how do I know if I have enough money to retire? We're working our way through 6 critical indicators that can help you assess how ready you are for retirement and whether or not you have enough money saved up to retire. We know that this is a common question, a common concern. We talked about all the fears at the beginning of today's show. So we've covered the first one, which of course you need to understand your annual spending needs. You need to have a budget. You need to know where your money's going. And really, that's empowering because then you can tell your money where you want it to go. But next up on our list is factoring in your income sources and their reliability. And you say this all the time, Tom. It's not about your lump sum. It's about your income. That's what really matters for success in retirement.
Absolutely. I mean, a great story is I have one client that's been with me several years came to me, and he had less than $200,000 in investable assets. And he actually, got laid off a little bit early from his job at 64 years of age, and less than $200,000 of assets. And I ask people in all of my seminars, is he in trouble? And every head shakes, yes, he's in trouble. And then I come back and I say, well, this guy had Social Security to the max. He has a large government pension where he also paid Social Security. So he's got both and rather than either or. He's bringing in about $14,000 a month from that pension and Social Security. He bought 3 rental houses while he was living and growing through his adulthood, and all of them are paid for, and they give him about $6,000 a month profit. The guy's got about $20,000 a month coming income You ready for that? So
Mm.
he doesn't have the lump sum, but
Mhm.
he's got income. Now I'm going to talk about lump sum next, but and in this segment, but I do want to talk about income. What are your income sources? That's one of the reasons. Go to our website and look at all of our seminars. We do Social Security workshops more than anything else. I mean, when we do a Social Security workshop, we know that we've covered for the average American 41% of their income needs in retirement. And number two, and how do you know if you have enough money to retire? Number one was get a budget. Number two, what are your income sources? What's your Social Security? Now, if you don't have one, stay with me just a bit. I've got two daughters who are involved in the school system, so they're not going to have Social Security either. I'm not forgetting you, but let's talk about the income of Social Security. You need to make sure that you get the right kind of input so that you do your Social Security correctly. And if you're married, you need to make sure that the two of you together have the best plan of approach to turning your Social Security incomes into the most profitable for you. And this is so, Kristen, you know, we talked during a break about who Bob at the water cooler is,
Yes.
okay?
And side note, if you're just joining us, Tom often talks about Bob at the water cooler, Bubba the plumber, and I was saying I would love to see a cartoon sketch of these individuals, right?
Right, right. And Bob, if you're listening, and this describes you, but Bob's about 5'8" and he's balding on the top, and he's never at his desk because he's always into everybody else's business, and he's always telling everybody else what they should do. Okay, you ready? But don't listen to Bob at the water cooler. You need some professional advice because Bob, here's the thing, Bob's telling you the truth. Bob's
Mm.
not a liar.
Mhm.
Bob's telling you exactly the best Social Security remedy for himself.
Mhm.
Okay. But yours and your situation may be entirely different. Think about not so much your friends, because you generally hang with people who are a lot like you, but think about your family. Think about your neighbors. Think about people that are maybe on your kids' ball teams or your kids' dance teams and things like that. Everybody's different. Everybody's got a different situation. Some are business owners, some are not. Some are retired, some are not. There's all kind of things going on. Bob at the water cooler can tell you what's exactly right for Bob, but he can't tell you what's right for you when it comes to Social Security. You need to get input. Don't go to Social Security because they're told not to give advice, but to give information.
Yep.
And they delineate in that they're not going to give you recommendations. They're just going to tell you yes or no and answer your questions. It's a big, big
Yes, it
difference.
is a huge difference. And again, that's one of the things that really sets you and the team of Mosley Wealth Management apart is you have that certification to be able to know all the ins and outs of Social Security. So again, we invite you to visit the website mosleywealthmanagement.com. That's MOSLEY wealthmanagement.com. You can actually look and see what seminars are going to be coming up over the next month, month and a half. We have them scattered all throughout Southern California, and we know you're going to want to come and find out more information so that you can get that personalized advice based on your individual situation. So going back to these income sources, Tom, it's important to list them all out. You've mentioned Social Security, pensions, rental income, investment returns. Some folks may have annuities as well, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, all of the income sources that you have, let me address pensions. You're going to have, if you're in _STRS or PERS or LACERS or OSERS, and those are not just names that I'm pulling out of the hat. Those are real names of retirement systems that are in Southern California. You've got one in San Diego that's completely different than the ones that are in Los Angeles and Orange County. There's all of these retirement systems that are government oriented. Many of you have not paid into social. So you've got a good pension. And that's a real positive. Most people don't,
Yep.
but you need to make sure and take it correctly, particularly if you are married. And I know that bigger amount, and there's all kind of justification for taking that single life amount, because it's the biggest amount you can get from your pension. But you're going to leave your spouse, whether it be your husband or your wife sometimes, high and dry. And you need to coordinate that with their Social Security and what might be impacted there. So pensions need to be considered. So you need need to make sure and have some professional advice. Rental income. How long are we going to keep the rentals? Investment returns. I mean, are you using dividend paying stock or T-bills, or what are you investing and how much can you count on that? And then to your point that you so, Kristen, astutely brought up, annuities. Annuities are a lifetime stream of income. And I get tickled at people who say, well, I hate annuities. Well, why? I don't know. I've just been told to be careful for annuities. Well, you love your Social Security and they better not cut it. You know what I mean? That's the
Right.
attitude most people have. They better not cut it. But a Social Security is simply an annuity. It's something that's going to pay you every month an income for the rest of your life. Your pension is an annuity. So a lot of people have Social Security and a pension and they still have an income gap. And we present an annuity to them and say, this annuity, if you choose it, it's your choice. If you choose this, an annuity can fill your income gap and all your income can be taken care of. And if you hate annuities just because you don't like the word, but you love your pension and you love your Social Security, you're a little bit inconsistent because those are annuities. So big thing. Number 2, you really need to consider your income sources.
Yes, for sure. And then how those income sources will adjust for inflation over time. And that's a huge deal.
It is. And again, this is why, you say, well, I think I can calculate all of that. And yeah, I have a lot of engineers. I'm not picking on engineers today, but they put it on a linear scale and they say, well, what if there's 4% inflation? A linear average doesn't really work in real time. So you have to consider inflation. It's so important. So it's your income, not your lump sum. Now, I want to touch on number 3. I know we just have a minute or two in this segment, but you also need to touch on your lump sum. I don't want you to give away your 401k.
Right.
But your 401k many times has limited opportunity as far as what your investments are. Almost everyone, after they retire within a year, they move their 401k out to an IRA. It's not a taxable event. It slides over into an IRA. And then you have pretty much all the options in the world. You can use some of it for the income annuity. You can put some of it if you're going to save. Just recently, I had a client couple in my office and we put $200,000 of their money away. They've made some pretty good money in the last couple of years, and they want to give their son and daughter $100,000 each to put as a down payment on a house in a year. So we put that in a very safe bucket that's not going to be impacted by a downturn in the market. And then you still need growth. If you're 65 and you want to make sure you have enough to retire and not run out of money at the end, you probably still need growth unless you've just got massive amounts of money and you're a miser in what you spend. So taking that retirement portfolio and looking at how much, let's look at it, the two of them together, number 2 and number 3, your income sources, there's a gap. So you're going to have to fill that gap from your lump sum. Your income gap has to be filled from the lump sum. Let me make sure you get that. You understand that. And so how do we do it? Do we do it through an annuity? Do we do it through a regular withdrawal? What kind of interest rate are we going to have to get? All of those are things that we answer for you and we put on paper for you once you come in and you ask us, Tom, would you help us put together a retirement blueprint? That's what we do.
And if you would like to take advantage of that opportunity to get your complimentary retirement blueprint, you can have a plan put in your hands by the team of Mosley Wealth Management. All you need to do is reach out and call. That number to call is 888-930-5609. You'll be able to schedule a time to come in and sit down with one of the all-star advisors of Mosley Wealth Management at one of the 5 different office locations scattered throughout Southern California. They will be able to get to know you, answer your questions, and begin to build a plan based on you and your individual situation. Again, that number to call is 888-930-5609. Don't go anywhere. We've got some more critical indicators to help you assess how do you know if you have enough money to retire. Stay with us to hear what Tom has to say next.
At Mosley Wealth Management, we believe that financial planning should be different by design. That's why we don't use a one-size-fits-all approach to retirement planning. Your life and your career has been completely different from that of your neighbors, family, or friends because there is only one you. That's why we believe in taking the time to get to know you, your goals, and your unique financial situation. With Mosley Wealth Management, our team will work with you to develop a comprehensive retirement plan that is tailored to your specific needs. We'll help you identify areas where you can potentially reduce risk and maximize returns, while also addressing potential tax implications that could impact your retirement savings. We believe that financial planning should be transparent, accessible, and easy to understand. That's why we take the time to explain complex financial concepts in simple, straightforward terms. Our goal is to help you make informed decisions and implement strategies that are aimed to help you achieve your financial objectives. With our comprehensive approach to retirement planning, we'll work with you every step of the way to help you work towards achieving your unique retirement goals. At Right on the Money and Mosley Wealth Management, we make retirement planning different by design. Call Tom Mosley and the team at Mosley Wealth Management today for your complimentary retirement blueprint. 888-930-5609. That's 888-930-5609.
Welcome back, Southern California. You're listening to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm Kristen Oakley, and today we have been discussing the question, how do I know if I have enough money to retire? We've covered 3 of our 6 critical indicators. If you're just joining us, we've talked about the importance of having your annual spending needs and budget, knowing where your money's going. We've talked about knowing about your income sources and their reliability, of course, accounting for inflation. And we've talked about the importance of knowing your lump sum and how that could help potentially fill in any income gap you may have. So, Tom, what is next on our list of critical indicators to help folks assess if they know they have enough to retire?
Let's talk about debt, okay? Nobody likes to talk about debt. Nobody likes to have debt. Nobody likes to pay debt. But guess what? So many people go into retirement and they do the first 3. They get that budget put together, and in there is debt. And they get their income put together and they find out how much they're going to have to tap their lump sum, which is also your paycheck. If you don't have to tap your lump sum just to pay for the gap in your income, then that's your paycheck. That's what you can go buy the motor home, go to Europe, do those kind of things with. And they completely overlook debt. Now, always, if you're listening to the show and you're 20 years old, debt will kill you. If you're 30, I've got news for you, debt will kill you because you are a servant, the scriptures say, to the lender. And you are paying the lender. The lender is making money off of you because of your desire to need something faster than just waiting and being able to pay for it. Maybe the exception is a house because we all like to live under a roof as opposed to living under a bridge. But going into debt, and I'm talking about credit cards, expensive cars, trading cars every 2 years, it just doesn't make sense unless you're just making gobs of money and you want to waste it. Okay. So getting out of debt is the very best thing you can do. And if you're not retired yet, you know, we started the show by saying that only 45% of the people who are looking at retirement have any confidence that they're going to be good in retirement and they're not going to run short of money in retirement. And I think, Kristen, one of the biggest reasons is so many of you out there are carrying so much debt. You need to get a debt reduction plan done before you retire. You say, does that include my mortgage? Boy, that'd be great. I'll tell you what, probably one of the happiest days of your life, and you might not know it yet, will be the day you pay off your mortgage. It'll be one of the most freeing days financially that you have. But also the car loans. You say, well, we trade cars every 2 years. Why? I mean, you're just selling somebody else a car for about half price and then buying a brand new one every 2 years. Your credit card debt, your student loan debt. Yeah, they're probably going to have to pay student loans, okay? Your motor home debt, your second home debt. I've seen all of those things just recently, and debt is a drag. Let's go back to the first one. Debt requires you to have more income.
Debt
Mhm.
requires you to draw faster down on your lump sum. And the title of the show is that, do I have enough money to retire? And the flip side of that is, am I going to run out at the end? Well, maybe if you're carrying a lot of debt. So don't stop until you get to zero on debt. I am so happy to tell you that my wife and I have reached that level where, yes, we use credit cards, but we pay them all off at the end of the month. And
Mhm.
that is the only debt we carry. We have to do a balance sheet every month, and whatever's on the credit cards on a real sheet, you have to show on your debt, but it gets paid off in the next month when the bill comes due. But pay it down to zero. You say, I wish I could get into that kind of situation. Do you really? We can help you. We can help you not only build a financial plan for retirement, we can help give you some systematic steps to help get you out of debt. I use a snowball, only I use it different than the most popular snowball that's out there on the radio. I use it
Mhm.
in a different way. I think you need to pay off the one that's the highest interest rate. Some of you are paying off something that's got a 6% interest rate because it's the smallest. I think that's a very immature way to go about it. You need to pay off that 29% credit card before you pay off anything that's 6%. You say, well, we're putting extra on our home that's 4%. Well, no, pay off the credit card first and then put all of the money you've been putting on the credit card, snowball that into paying off your home after you get all of that larger interest debt paid off. I know I've been quick here, but we can sit down with you and work out a plan to get you out of debt. That's number 4. Get out of debt.
Yes, so important to set you up for success. And that often can help with the peace of mind of knowing if you have enough money to retire. Well, one of the unpredictable things about retirement is healthcare and long term care costs. And we know that this is a huge stressor. This is what creates a lot of fear, I think, Tom, for folks not knowing if they have enough or not. One, because they don't know what kind of healthcare expenses they might incur and or if they're going to need long term care.
Exactly. And I'll tell you the dilemma, Kristen, because I'm there and I'm there with all of my clients. You're there because you say, do I spend a lot of money to get all of these insurance coverages? Which, by the way, if you're working with Blank Investment, that's the name of the company that you're working with, and you can fill in the blank of whoever you're working with, and they pride themselves on not selling commissionable products, then they really can address or help you address the big financial concern, which is number 5, and that is your health care. That is your long term care. That is your Medicare, health care. How are you going to cover it? Because all of the things that you buy to cover your health care, long term care, Medicare, all of those things, they're all commissionable products. So if you
Hmm.
pride yourself in saying, I will help you retire, but I won't help you with commissionable products, you're only getting half of the deal. You need to be working with someone who's going to say, Fidelity did a study recently, and at 65, a couple at 65, they're going to need approximately $315,000 to pay for their health care the rest of their life. And you
And
say,
that
well,
doesn't include any long term care in that figure either.
it doesn't include long-term care. And singles, you say, well, what is it for singles? Their survey said for a single person, it's $178,000. So you need to be working with somebody who can put you and explain to you all of your options, not just the supplements, but also Medicare Advantage when it comes to Medicare. You need to have somebody who can sit down with you and not necessarily sell you a long-term care policy, because those are few and far between and very hard to get and very expensive. But you better have in your retirement portfolio of plans, in the blueprint that we put together, what is your plan to cover long term care? I'm going to use that money that I've set aside in case we ever need it for long term care. And then if we don't need it, we can pass it along to our kids. Just recently, Kristen, I put $200,000 for a client after we talked through all of the options. These
Mhm.
people had about $1.6 million. We
Mhm.
put $200,000 into a fixed indexed annuity. Now, what's that going to do? It's guaranteed never to go down.
Mhm.
It's going to make them about 4, 5, 6%, maybe more. Some of them are earning more right now, but let's just say 4, 5, or 6%. It's not a big market winner,
okay, but it's never going to go down. They can use it for income when one of the two in the couple passes away and there's only one spouse left. They could turn it on for income so they can use it for themselves. If one of them goes into a nursing home or gets into a situation where they can't do 2 of the 6 activities of daily living,
Mm-hmm.
it'll double the payout for 5 years. So they could use it in case they get into a home health care situation or a nursing home situation. And then if they never lose it, when they're 98 years old and they're going for the 12th time to Bora Bora and their plane goes down in the ocean and they've never touched it, it goes to their children. 100% of the balance goes to their children if they haven't touched it. So that's one aspect where you could use an annuity for multiple ways, and long-term care might be one of those. But you just put that money aside. Healthcare, you need to address it. You know, I'm running short of time. Let me jump into number 6, and that's taxes. And Chris and I don't feel bad about not doing a lot on taxes in this show, because I've done so many shows that just, and you know, Kristen, how many shows do we do that are just focused on taxes?
Oh, so many, because it's so important.
I know. All of that money in the 401k and the IRA and the pensions, all of that has still got to be taxed. And you say, well, I don't really need that money. Well, you know what? The government needs the tax. So at 43 right now, the age is, you're going to have required minimum distributions. So we help our people a lot of times do Roth conversions. Is that good for you? You want to know what you can save on Roth conversions? Let me give you a website, 𝗀𝗏𝑚ytaxbill.com. Go to 𝗀𝗏𝑚ytaxbill.com. That's a website I've developed, and you can put in your numbers and your tax rate, and you can see how much potentially your 401k and your IRA can be taxed in your lifetime. It's astounding. But we help people do Roth conversions, particularly from the time they retire until they get to that age of 73 and even afterwards. And we help people do Roth conversions, pay the tax when you choose to pay the tax, not when the government forces you to pay the tax. And it's amazing what you can save. If you go to 𝗀𝗏𝑚ytaxbill.com and punch in your numbers, you'll be able to see yourself, and you'll be able to see how much you could save if we could help you do Roth conversions and do them the right way. Be careful. You could mess up your Medicare Part B and Part D and have to pay a lot more. Be careful. You could mess up your capital gains. So you need to have a professional help you. But there's so many things we offer you when it comes to taxes. We want you to retire, and we want you to be comfortable to know you're not going to run out of money in retirement. These are 6 ways. Call us for a blueprint. They're free. And call us and say, I want to come in and develop my blueprint with you guys. They're free. We'll help you in every way we can.
The bottom line is, if you want the solid answer to this question of how do I know if I have enough money to retire, it starts by you claiming your complimentary retirement blueprint to get the answer. 888-930-5609 is that number to call. Again, we also invite you to visit 𝗀𝗏𝑚ytaxbill.com. That's 𝗀𝗏𝑚ytaxbill.com, another free resource for you. And that will definitely help you figure out, okay, I need to get this retirement blueprint. So we appreciate you being here. We look forward to connecting with many of you as a result of today's show. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. And we look forward to being back with you next time here on Right on the Money with Tom Mosley.
Investment advisory services offered by duly registered individuals through Mosley Wealth Management Incorporated. Mosley Wealth Management and Mosley Insurance and Financial Services are affiliated companies by common ownership license number OB61811. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refers to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength, claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This content is intended for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the needs of an individual situation. All hypothetical examples are provided for illustrative purposes only. They do not represent real-life scenarios. Mosley Insurance and Financial Services, nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any investment decisions. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. Some of the information provided may be from one or more third parties, which we believe to be reliable sources, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Mosley Insurance and Financial Services.